meats.
CBS Sports welcomes you to the following presentation of the National Football League.
Overcast, guys. Temperatures in the low 40s. Feels like football weather here in December. Tennessee has won the toss. They defer. Texans will receive. Aditi Kinkhabwala working the sidelines for us. Aditi, we thought early in the week it would be Davis Mills for Houston, but it is indeed Case Keenum.
Spiro, I watched Case Keenum run through his pregame warm-up. He looks like he's done it 100 times, and that's because he has. As Arch said, it was ultimately his experience that led to the 35-year-old getting the call. His experience managing the huddle, his experience with the play operation, his experience helping other guys out on the field. Now, as for his part, Keenum admitted he's a little nervous, but he called it an excited nervous. What he said to me, Spiro, is, I'm built for this.
Yeah, he was quietly confident, guy who's been around forever, but again, first appearance of the season, his first snaps of the season, and it's only going to be his third start in the last 4 years. And it will be Keenum and their offense on the field to begin. Steven Sims, whom they just elevated yesterday from their practice squad, is back deep. And he's going to watch this one sail through the end zone. So here comes Keenum. They'll begin at the 25-yard line. Of course, the Texas native starred at the University of Houston, doing it in his home state. And he takes the reins in the biggest moment of Houston's season here in Nashville.
Well, as he says, he really feels like this offense really suits his strengths. He calls it the West Coast offense's greatest hits. And I think if there's anything that's been clear in the last couple seasons, that the Kyle Shanahan tree, whether it's Bobby Slowick or Mike McDaniel over in Miami, they really know how to simplify and get the quarterback playing fast.
Most members of this Houston defense was there with that little shove, but this is what we were talking about. Henry, over the last 5 games against this Houston team, that is just hard to comprehend.
It's almost like if you're a varsity running back and they say, hey, we need an extra guy to go play JV, and you go pad your stats. That's the kind of game that it's been for Derrick Henry. 4 200-yard games in the last 5 games he's played against this defense. That is ridiculous.
A ton of missing pieces. Tank Dell Arch was such a massive piece for this offense. We mentioned Fant. Of course, Titus Howard's been out for a while, and Nico Collins, who's having a breakout year.
Well, it's been kind of the story of their season, starting early with their offensive line, and now it's trickling into their skill position. You know, they've done a really good job of being able to improvise and adapt from week to week, but not having those 2 major pieces to the passing game certainly affects the Texans offense.
Well, Noah Brown has been Keenum's favorite target here at the start. Big completion of 6, first down. NFL Today update, JB in New York.
A record-setting Dolphins touchdown.
19th of the year from Raheem Mostert after a Zach Wilson sack fumble. Miami takes it in for the 7-0 lead. Back to you guys in Tennessee, Spiro, Adam, and Aditi.
But Will Levis, everyone said it. Levis mentioned it. Mike Vrabel, that's the kind of breakthrough moment. Vrabel told us, look, you can simulate things in practice, but until you experience something like that.
Yeah, you've got to play. And look, it helps. We haven't seen him yet. It helps when you have DeAndre Hopkins, who has seemed to be invigorated by Levis since he's been here at quarterback. That's been his target du jour here since he's been the starter. So far, we haven't seen Hopkins in this game.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Pepsi, the official soft drink of the NFL. State Farm, like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. And by Burger King. Melts are so back. Toasty, cheesy, melty, delicious.
A little Sunday stroll down Broadway, downtown Nashville, one of the great American cities. JB and Boomer.
Zappe and the Patriots even it up.
How about Bailey Zappe, 16 of 18, 135 yards. This touchdown came on a 4th and 1. They tied the game at 7 with Kansas City. Back to you guys.
What a physical run here to move the sticks. And this is what he's done. The athleticism, matching that arm talent that he has. That was the first run that really started to give them life. And then really, they never looked back.
Yeah, to me, that was the play of the game. When he was able to get away from
JB and Boomer.
Boom. Tua up top, two.
Yeah, no Tyreek Hill, no problem. Here comes Jalen Waddle. He runs right past DJ Reed. Perfectly thrown ball right on the numbers. Dolphins take a 17-0 lead over the Jets. Back to Spiro and Adam.
As we get more now on Singletary with Aditi.
Spiro, it's funny that Arch mentioned Singletary in Buffalo because I actually talked to Singletary about his time in Buffalo this week. He said he was there when Buffalo turned the corner, and he sees so many similar things in headquarters with the Texans. He said it's the young players, it's the resilience, but he of course said this week will be a show of what we're really made of.
And he is on and perfect on a 23-yard chip shot field goal to take us to halftime here in Nashville. So much at stake for the Texans, but right now Mike Vrabel's defense and his young quarterback have been the story. 13-3. Halftime is next after these first half highlights from Verizon and a word from your local station.
My name is my brand. My store, my design business, we're exploding.
In a good way.
But my old internet was not letting me run the show.
It needed a total redo. Ugh.
So we switched to Verizon Business Internet. Easy. They have business-grade internet nationwide. Fast, reliable, and easy to set up.
Boom. Instant makeover.
Now this room, it's really working.
Make the switch. It's your business. It's your Verizon.
The Survivor season finale, Wednesday on CBS.
CBS Sports presents the Verizon Halftime Report. Verizon, the official 5G network of the NFL.
We are underway.
Levis keeps it himself, and he bangs it in. Touchdown. Keenum looking for a big play. It's picked off. Intercepted. Elijah Molden. And it's going to be a pick six. Play action from Levis. Puts a man under it. Fires, and it's caught. Big play. Traylon Burks.
What a play!
That time of the year is coming around.
The Holiday Classic is back on Christmas Eve.
Let's go!
Tune in to NFL Network for an epic primetime showdown.
It's time for the holidays. We're going to set the tone.
As the Patriots
There's that speed.
and the Broncos
Touchdown!
line up mile high for an AFC clash on Sunday night.
Deck the hall, we having a ball.
The NFL Holiday Classic, Christmas Eve at 8, only on NFL Network and streaming on NFL Plus.
Where there is light, there is hope. And it only takes one person to bring that light to thousands. Someone like Taylor, who helps students choose a college education that leads to a career. And Zonia, who's showing kids how powerful their voices can be. To those helping turn on the lights for the next generation, we see you.
I never had a lot of family, but these days we're surrounded by family.
There's no problem so big that we can't talk it out.
Oh, great gasp, everyone. Bravo.
We came to tear it up.
You miss me?
You know, you wait and you wait and you wait, and then pow, it's here.
They're going to love this.
CBS
Time report. It is the official 5G network of the NFL. Back here in Studio 43 with the full house, and to the action we go.
All right, guys, Jets at Miami. Following a Zach Wilson strip sack, Raheem Mostert's going to set the Miami Dolphins single-season touchdown record with 19. They take a 7-0 lead. No Tyreek Hill today for the Miami Dolphins. No problem for Tua Tagovailoa. He's 14 of 16, 149 yards, and that 60-yard touchdown pass to Jalen Waddle. They're out, 7-0.
Kansas City visits New England. Direct snap right there to Jarrett McKinnon. He flips to Rashee Rice, and now the creativity's back in that red zone for Kansas City. But on fourth down, Bailey Zappi is going to find Hunter Henry on 4th and 16 for the touchdown. Zappy first half, 17 and 19, 141 yards. But then I got back here again. It'll be Jerick McKinnon taking his 8-yard pass from Patrick Mahomes. Takes it in. Kansas City leads 14-10 near the end of the second quarter.
All right, we have the Bucs and the Packers. Baker Mayfield doing his thing. A baker always knows where his bread is buttered, and that's Mike Evans. Hall of Famer Mike Evans. Tampa Bay up 13-10. And then we have the Atlanta Falcons, Carolina Panthers, Desmond Ridder. He's going to give it to who else? Cordell Patterson. My man could do it all. He skates on in for the touchdown. Atlanta leads 7-3 just before half.
New York Giants at the New Orleans Saints. Saints quarterback Derek Carr throws a 7-yard touchdown pass to Keith Kirkwood. Made the score 7-3. That's how it is close to half.
Case Keenum got a start today with C.J. Stroud with concussion protocol, but right here it's going to be Case Keenum getting picked off. Fake doesn't look right there, and Elijah Molden steps in from takes his 45 yards, and Tennessee leads 13-3.
Chicago Bears at the Cleveland Browns. Browns quarterback Joe Flacco fires the 2-yard touchdown pass to David Njoku, ties the score up 7-7.
All right, we have the Buccaneers with a 3-point lead. Baker Mayfield doing his thing. Check him out right here. He's going to look for Godwin on a spot route. There's a zone. He knows exactly where his guy is. And here he's rolling out. Who's mirroring him? That is Godwin again. Delivers a ball, allows him to run with it. And then on this play, Godwin is running a deep crosser, opens up the field for the skinny post of Mike Evans back of the end zone. Mike Evans scores another touchdown. Look at the numbers. Here's the QB comparison. Baker Mayfield, 12 of 14, 187. The key is the 1 touchdown and 0 interceptions. We talked about it in the pregame. He's making good decisions.
Okay, Will Levis, the Tennessee Titans. Let's watch play action pass. When you see that with the running football team, look down the field. Traylon Burks on the other end of that reception. And once again, man, Will Levis, he only looks deep, I think. Moves to his left. Nice throw. Goes to Westbrook Katina for a big gain. Awesome throw there by him. Once again, deep drop. Lots of time by the offensive line. Just a rocket over the middle to Traylon Burks again. And how about this? Today, 8 of 9, 99 yards, 11 yards per attempt. No interceptions, no touchdown, and 1 rushing TD. Boy, he is playing well.
Only looks deep up there.
Oh, man, he doesn't know.
He just lets it rip, which is great. The other thing, too, now this is a Houston team that is obviously hurt, and we could see that. This is like the bloom is off the rose. The last couple of weeks, we saw this in the second half versus the Jets, and now we're seeing it again here against Tennessee. And Tennessee is the team right now I would not want to be playing.
Yeah, no doubt about it, because they're playing angry, and they have their quarterback who they're rallying behind. We talked about his throwing motion. It's really tight, compact, and he can throw off of any pivot. When he's falling away, he can still hit you deep, but he loves throwing those rockets over the middle of the field, and he's really delivering the ball well.
And if you have to think about a comeback player of the year, I know he may not get it, but Baker Mayfield, with what he's done with the Tampa Bay Bucs, and think about what he's done. You know, they talked about the stat on there that on 3rd down and 3 or less, they are number 1 in the National Football League. He has got a rapport right now, good one, with Mike Evans.
Of course,
and I'll tell you what, right now, he's leading this team, and, you know, they're in control of their destiny, I think, in that AFC.
They are.
NFC South, He's another guy that can only look down the field. I mean, Baker, he loves making those big throws, loves showing off his arms with the other guy, Will Levis. I mean, the connection with him and Mike Vrabel, it just seems like they're meant for each other.
What are you trying to say? They have the same type of personality?
Oh, man. What way? In what way? Can you elaborate?
Well, we just, you know, we talk about here, they're meatheads. That's a compliment.
Like we are.
Well, you?
Speak for yourself.
All right, man. I'm trying to...
Klaus, did you hear that? We're meatheads. The Verizon halftime report continues.
It's going so
CBS Sports presents the Verizon Halftime Report. Verizon, the official 5G network of the NFL.
CBS News, 60 Minutes, tonight on CBS.
This broadcast is copyrighted by NFL Productions for the private use of our audience. Any other use of this broadcast or any pictures, descriptions, or accounts of the game without the consent of NFL Productions is prohibited.
Game day dip in the oven? Just tell Siri. Remind me to check the food in 10 minutes.
Back with you live inside Nissan Stadium, Nashville, Tennessee. There's your halftime score, 13-3 Titans. As we sit in for the final 2 quarters, we welcome you back to the NFL on CBS. Spiro Thetis, Adam Archuleta. finally Houston gets some points, trying to get some momentum going with some of the offensive mistakes, but Tennessee has picked up right where they left off on Monday night.
They did. There's no letdown. The energy was still there, and you got to like the way that Will Levis started the game. Really good protection. Immediately he finds Traylon Burks for a chunk play. Takes advantage of a free offside to throw it to Westbrook Akine, and that sets up Levis right in the back of Derrick Henry for his touchdown. Defense, Spiro, has been stellar. Elijah Molden with a pick six. So come out really strong. You know, it's amazing. Tennessee only had the ball 6 plays in that second quarter because of that pick six. I do like the way Houston was able to run the ball, and I do believe that will be a key for them. If they can continue to capture that momentum of running the football there at the end of that half, carry that into the third quarter, that would help them come back in this game.
Told you what's at stake for D'Amico Ryans and the Texans. That loss at the Jets last week, 30-6, just so damaging in terms of their playoff positioning, but they're right there still in the hunt as they begin the day about a half game back of those final 2 wild card positions in the AFC, but they desperately need this one here in the division against the team that they know so well. So Case Keenum taking his first snaps of the season on for the absent CJ Stroud. Had the early pick six. Can he finally settle in as he makes what is only his 3rd start over the last 4 years? By the way, that Houston game at the Jets last week, that was the first game in 9 weeks that was not decided by 1 score. They have played in some close, intense games for the majority of the season. Now their defense is going to look to make a stop here to begin the second half. Chris Moore is going to watch this one sail through the back of the end zone. And out will come Will Levis. Aditi spoke to both coaches.
Well, let's start with D'Amico Ryans, Spiro. He said that Case Keenum is doing a good job outside that 1 mistake, but the Texans need to get out of the Texans' way. He said that that last drive that ended in the field goal needs to be enough to get them going. But as for the Titans, Mike Vrabel was very proud of his defense keeping them to a field goal. He doesn't like what his defense is doing on 3rd and long, but he said we have to keep competing.
Time to get you Game Flow presented by Progressive Insurance. High intensity, 2 division rivals. All the history between these 2 cities. NFL franchises. Case Keenum, first start of the season. Really that 1 mistake, but you're starting to see him pick up some chemistry, pick up some rhythm in this offense. And with more on that initiative, we check in with Aditi.
Well, Spiro, the Tennessee Titans inspired changemaker is Dr. Glenda Glover, the president of Tennessee State University. She's been in that role since 2013, but her work extends far beyond her own university. She's advocated for HBCUs at both the state and the federal level, and she's made her mission ensuring all young people have access to quality education. And guys, you can see her work has kept her in some pretty elite company.
Indeed, that's a wonderful league-wide initiative against this aggressive, hard-hitting D'Amico Ryans-led defense.
Well, after that first drive, really started to tighten up and swarming this run game. You saw finally Bernard got to Will Levis, and then you got Steven Nelson, who capitalizes on a terrible mistake, and that leads to 3 points. So this defense really has started to settle down and make plays. A big reason for that is because they have made the Titans offense completely one-dimensional by smothering Derrick Henry.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Panera, freshly prepared with clean ingredients. Verizon, the official 5G network of the NFL. And by Geico. For all your insurance needs, it's easy to Geico.
Well, 2 NFL franchises, cities forever connected through history. It started in Houston, those run and shoot teams, and this was Mike Vrabel. Little tip of the cap to the great Bump Phillips, coming in with the cowboy hat, reporting for work this morning.
I think it should stick.
Oh, last Saturday, the NFL community lost one of its brothers. Frank Wycheck, the former tight end, spent 9 of his 11 seasons as a member of the Houston Oilers and Tennessee Titans, where he played a pivotal role in one of the most famous plays in NFL history, the Music City Miracle. Wycheck, a 3-time Pro Bowler, he was a beloved member of the franchise. He was inducted into the Titans Ring of Honor in 2013. He was only 52 years old. That was news that really sent some shockwaves around the NFL community. And our thoughts and prayers are with the Wycheck family. You see the number 89 decals that they're wearing on their helmets today. So we welcome you back to the booth. This has been fun. Two teams, two franchises, of course, that know each other well. We wondered how Houston would fare without C.J. Stroud and Case Keenum, the early pick 6. He's really settled in, and they've got a chance to win this game.
Well, I think you knew coming into this game that it was going to be a battle just because of all the changes and not having Stroud at quarterback for the Texans. I really like the energy and the way that Tennessee has come out to play. Houston's been able to move the ball somewhat, but they can't find a way to get into the end zone. Case Keenum and this offense are going to have to be at their best on this drive.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Domino's. Get great deals on pizza, bread twist, chicken, desserts, and more. And by the Home Depot. How doers get more done.
Coming up, the State Farm postgame show will send you to New York. JB and the crew take you around the league week 15 on the State Farm postgame show. Wild game down the stretch here in Nashville. Case Keenum making the start for Stroud. It was Levis, game-opening drive, marched them right down the field. Then the pick 6, Elijah Molden got them out to the 13-0 lead after the missed extra point. And then things started to turn with D'Amico Ryan's defense. Keenum started to get comfortable. Remember Sam Bradford, the injury early in the season, the devastating knee injury. Keenum led them into the playoffs, that 13-win Minnesota team. Playoff win. This was the divisional round against the Saints. Got them to an NFC championship game in one of the most surreal finishes in the history of the sport.
Yep.
Pick is good, and the Texans win it here in Nashville. One week after taking one on the chin against the Jets, and without their young phenom at quarterback, they've come to Nashville and pull one out in a thriller as Fairbairn wins it from 54.
Now, Spare, what an incredible finish, and really it comes down, both defenses starting to dominate, but Keenum at the end, extending, getting outside the pocket, and to me, the player of the game, the hero, Devin Singletary, really came to play and put this Houston Texans football team on his back.
The Houston Texans were down 13-0. Case